What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. As I'm recording this, it's currently 11:10 p.m. And that's my brother. Today,
Hey, can I show them my new project?
my brother started a new project.
Yeah, I got a YouTube channel. This time link is below. This time don't forget. Or else something bad will happen to you. Just like that kid on my trip. And make him break his nose at soccer. So,
yeah, I think this kid's not mentally okay.
So, yeah, I got the new official Playtime Code plushie. So, I'm making a grab pack for one of my videos. I think it's turning out pretty good.
Yeah, go follow this kid.
Yeah.
It's
Kaiju Math.
HTTPS, whatever. Kaiju Matthew, yeah, go follow him. I mean, subscribe to him.
Chris, you want to get some drinks?
He makes.
Chris, you want to go downstairs to get some drinks?
Come
on.
I'm
I'll
gonna
go talk about my class while we're going downstairs. Come on.
be reading this book.
Yeah, but let me explain some more while we're going to get some drinks, because I'm thirsty.
Okay, guys, you're gonna go with me downstairs, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'll talk about my project.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, I'm in my pajamas right now because it's like 11. Hold on, let me turn my watch.
It smells like
So it's 11 p.m.
It smells like tape. I might just do the other one and then just go to bed and do the hands tomorrow. Also, guys, check out.
Go subscribe to him.
I'm giving my mom's old laptop.
He's gonna be doing some gaming videos, so go subscribe to him. And also, guys, I just wanted to say I'm so grateful that you guys are subscribed to me for the past 5 or so years.
Yeah, make sure all you guys.
My channel has been growing a lot.
All you guys.
So thank you.
I only have 1 subscriber.
Really appreciate it. I like all of you guys. I really appreciate it. I really freaking appreciate it.
My wrap pack. I'm going to make the hands and the straps.
We're going to be reading The Water That Protects, chapters 1 to 10.
Well, I work on this project.
My video might take a while. Oh, there's no more juice boxes. Here, you can have this one. I'll just grab myself a water.
You want to give me water?
Yeah.
I'm going to finish this like only like minutes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, guys. Going upstairs. Alright, let's go. Got myself a water. So while we're reading, if I pause to take a water break, it's because I'm just really thirsty. Yeah. Alright. Good night. Love you. Alright, guys. Now, to the video. It's dark in here, oh my god. I wonder what it's like on camera for you guys. Alright, it's time to get to the video. Alright? Alright, guys. Okay, we are on. Hold on. I wonder if you can even see. I'll just put you on my lap. Gonna get into my blanket. Hold on. Alright, guys. Ready? Ready? My pillows ready. This might take a while. Hopefully I don't accidentally press the stop button. But this is the book we're going to be reading, chapters 1 through 10. I need to get something so I can hold my phone up. That was my umbrella. Let me use my umbrella. There. The wild robot protects the number one best-selling series by Peter Brown. Here we go. Can't wait to read this. Got my umbrella. Wild robot protects. The sky. Our story begins in the sky with a bright sun and puffy clouds and a large flock of geese. Bless me. Hold on. After spending the cold months at their southern wintering grounds, the geese were migrating back to their northern home. They flew in a perfect V formation, and leading the way was a graceful young goose. The leader kept his eyes forward, constantly searching for bad weather or airships, but the sky was clear of any trouble. Towns and roads and meadows and rivers passed beneath the geese as they flew. Far ahead, where the land met the sky, the dark blue line of the ocean gradually came into view. The ocean grew closer and closer, and then the flock was soaring above a sandy beach and out over the water. Picture of the geese flying. An island appeared in the distance. Another island appeared, and another. The geese spent a few days hopping from island to island, munching on dune grass and resting their wings. Then they took off for the last leg of their journey. Cargo ships were powering through the waves below. This part of the ocean was a shipping lane. It was crawling with huge vessels, each making its own migration to the next seaport. The geese flew high over the ships, and soon all they could see was water spreading to the horizon in every direction. Hours passed before the geese spotted the familiar rocky shapes of their home island. They quickened their pace. Now they could see the mountain and the forest and the white slash of the waterfall. Now they were flying over the coastline. Now they were circling above the beaver pond. The flock glided down to the pond and splashed onto the surface. They floated there, quietly cleaning their feathers until, below the water, their webbed feet started paddling, and they swam to shore and wandered onto a pebble beach. While the others made themselves at home, the leader wandered into the forest by himself. He followed a path through the undergrowth, passing old trees and mossy stones and thick brambles, and he stopped in a small clearing. The goose honked loudly and listened for a response. Silence. And then the forest began to move. A cluster of ferns shook and the ground bulged up, and chunks of dirt and chunks of dirt tumbled aside. And there, standing in front of the goose, was a robot. Reader, you and I would have been terrified in that moment. It's not every day you see a robot burst up from the ground. But the goose wasn't terrified. He was happy. You see, that robot was his mother. He fluttered onto her shoulder. Then the two of them spoke to each other in the language of the animals. "I've missed you, Ma," said Bright Bill, the goose. "Welcome home, son," said Roz, the wild robot. That's Roz. That's Bright Bill. Chapter 2, The Reunion. Roz and Bright Bill, mother and son, were eager to catch up, and they immediately started talking about all that happened over the winter. But their conversation was interrupted by the sound of little claws scampering through the treetops. A tiny voice was muttering, "Bright Bill's back, Bright Bill's back, Bright Bill's back." Then a squirrel came bounding out to the tip of a branch. "Hello, Chit Chat," said Bright Bill to the squirrel. "How have you been?" But Chit Chat had come a long way, and she was out of breath. Wind rushed from her mouth, and she held up her paw as if to say, "Hang on a minute," when she was ready. The squirrel unleashed the following flurry of words. "Bright Bill, I'm so glad you're home. I always worry about when you're gone, which is silly because I know you're clever and tough. I'm also clever and tough, so I hope you don't worry about me. Oh, right, you asked how I've been. Well, I have some very exciting news, which is that I am now a mother. Can you believe it? I have 3 young kids, and I can't wait for you to meet them." Chit-Chat jabbered on, and the squirrel's jabbering voice caught the attention of nearby creatures. Fink the fox crept out from the bushes. Mrs. Beaver climbed up from the pond. Super the owl flew down to a log. More and more animals emerged from the forest, smiling and laughing, eager to reunite with their old friend Bright Bill. And then a screechy voice called out from afar. The voice was repeating something over and over, but nobody could make out the words. Roz and the animals hurried to the edge of the forest, just as a seagull named Gale appeared in the sky. She was frantically squawking and flapping toward them. Gulls were rarely seen so far inland. Something had to be wrong, and as Gale flew nearer, her words became clear. "Help, help, help!" Chapter 3, The Seal. The gull swooped past a crowd of creatures and cried, "Help, Roz, follow me! Help, Roz, follow me!" Then she swung back around the way she had come. Roz started running, and Bright Bill started flying, and together they followed Gale. Together they followed Gale north across the island and down to the rocky shore. Seabirds and otters and crabs had gathered on the rocks, and lying in the middle of the gathering was a seal. His nose was bleeding, his eyes were swollen shut. Roz knelt and inspected his injuries. From the seal's mouth came a weak voice. "The poison tide is coming." I do not understand," said the robot. "I was hunting in the north with my friends and family when we noticed a shimmering patch of water," said the seal. "We were curious, so we swam closer, And then we felt the poison. The shimmering water burned our mouths and our noses and our eyes. I couldn't see, and I called out for the others, but nobody called back. The poison tide kept washing over me, and the pain was too. The poison tide kept washing over me, and the pain was too much. So I turned and swam for my life, back into clear ocean water, and I just kept swimming for days, until I arrived here. What is the poison tide? Said the robot. Where did it come from? But the seal couldn't answer because he suddenly erupted into a fit of coughing. The animals exchanged nervous glances as the seal coughed and coughed. Everyone wanted to help him, but there was nothing they could do. When he finally stopped coughing, the seal hardly had enough strength to speak. Please, he whispered, I want to feel the ocean. Uh-oh, something's going on with the seal. Oh, if you're wondering, that's what the seal is. Yeah. Very carefully, Roz lifted him up, carried him across the rocks, and released him into the shallows. The touch of salt water against his body brought a faint smile to the seal's face. It was too hard for him to speak, so without saying a word, he slowly swam away and disappeared beneath the waves. Chapter 4. The Nervous Animals. Each day before sunrise, creatures came out from their homes and headed to the great meadow in the center of the island that was the site of the dawn truce. There everyone could safely get together and chat about the latest island news. Ordinarily, the dawn truce was a cheerful occasion, but on this day they had very serious matters to discuss. Gale fluttered onto a rock and screeched, "The poison tide is coming! The poison tide is coming!" Beaver grunted, "Pull yourself together. Gale, you'll cause a panic." Fink barked, "Why should I care what happens in the ocean? I live on a dry land." Swooper hooted, "Because the land and the water and the air are all connected." Other animals began calling out, "We'll be fine. This island has everything we need." "I don't even like the ocean, but what about our friends on the coast?" The animals grew louder and wilder until they were silenced by the robot's booming voice. "The seal might be right," said Roz. "There might be a poison tide spreading through the ocean, but I do not think it will reach our shores. I think we are safe." Roz was cut off by Nettle and Thorn, the bears who were sister and brother. "You think we're safe?" growled Nettle. I want to know we're safe," snarled Thorn. "I understand your concern," said Roz, "but of the creatures here, only the migratory birds and I have ever left the island. And we know that the ocean is truly enormous. It seems highly unlikely that the poison tide could spread through the whole ocean and find its way to us. The poison tide does not worry me, and it should not worry you either." Uh-oh. Chapter 5. The Talk. Brightbill had something important to tell his mother, so he led her up to the grassy ridge on the west side of the island to a place where he had learned to fly. It was one of their favorite spots to visit. The goose was a fast flyer, but the robot had no problem keeping up. Thanks to her new body, you might remember that Roz had been designed by a woman named Dr. Malovo. They had once met under some rather difficult circumstances, and during their time together, Dr. Malovo transferred Roz's mind from her old robotic body to a new one. Her new body was stronger and tougher and faster than the original one. Now Roz effortlessly glided across the rugged landscape as Brightbill raced through the air. Before long, they were standing at the crest of the ridge, facing a grassy hillside that sloped down to the ocean. Far below, a wave crashed against the rocks, shooting sea spray into the wind. A moment later, our friends felt the spray sprinkling against their bodies. And then Brightbill started to talk. "We lost 2 members of the flock this winter," he said softly. "They're an older couple who wandered off from the wintering grounds and were attacked by a pack of coyotes. I didn't know them well. They kept to themselves and only joined the flock for migrations. But the loss was hard on us all. They had a daughter, and I checked on her to see how she was doing. Her name is Glimmerwing, but everyone calls her Glimmer. She's about my age, and we enjoyed each other's company, and by the end of winter, she and I were inseparable." And a little smile appeared on Brightbill's face. "It turns out some good has come from that tragedy, because Glimmer and I have decided to be mates." Wow, that's interesting. Roz stared at her son. Her glowing eyes gently pulsed. Then she said, "I'm so sorry to hear about Glimmerwing's parents, but I'm so happy to hear that you have found a mate. Tell me about Glimmerwing. I want to know everything." "I could tell you about her," said Brightbill, "but I thought I'd introduce you to her instead." Chapter 6, The Mate. The robot had a simple home in the forest. It was a dome made of wood and rock and mud, with a low doorway at one end. Inside, the walls were lined with stone benches, and in the center of the space was a fire pit for those cold winter nights. Outside, the dome was surrounded by a lush garden of wildflowers and herbs and berry bushes. Roz called her home the nest. Brightbill and his mate would soon be arriving at the nest, and Roz wanted everything to be perfect. A cloud of dust billowed out the door as she tidied up the interior. And then came Brightbill's voice from the garden. "We're here, Ma." Roz crouched and stepped out of the doorway. It was a bright, beautiful day, and sunlight streaked down through this canopy of leaves and branches. Among the sun-dappled flowers stood Brightbill and a female goose. "Ma, this is Glimmerwing," Brightbill motioned to the goose at his side. I'm guessing that is Glimmerwing." "Hello, Glimmerwing," said the robot. "It is lovely to meet you." "Please call me Glimmer," said the goose. "Of course, I've seen you around the island, but it's so nice to actually meet you." Glimmer fluttered up to Roz's shoulder and gave her a big hug. "What should I call you?" said Glimmer. "Roz, Ma, Miss Robot." "Please call me Roz." The three of them spent the afternoon together. They talked about Glimmer's family and the loss of her parents. Later, Roz lightened the mood with stories of Brightbill from when he was young. The conversation flowed smoothly until Roz brought up one particular subject. "I've prepared the nest, and you may move in whenever you like," said the robot to the geese. "It will be wonderful to have your company." The geese looked at each other. You see, Ma," Brightbill was struggling to find the words. "Glimmer and I thought we'd live in our own nest, like other geese." The robot thought for a moment and said, "It is only natural for two mates to want some privacy." "Thank you for understanding," said Glimmer. "I will build you a new nest," said Roz. "I know exactly how to weave together grasses and twigs. It will be my gift to you." "To celebrate your union." The geese looked at each other. "Yeah, well, about that," Brightbill was struggling to find the right words. Again, "Glimmer and I want to build our own nest in our own way, but we appreciate the kind offer," said Glimmer. "You're not upset, are you, Ma?" said Brightbill. "Who, me upset? Do not be silly. I completely understand that you would want to start your life together by building a nest. If you ever need anything from me, all you have to do is ask." Chapter 7, The Passing Flocks. Birds often stopped by the island to rest their wings during flights across the ocean. They'd find a comfortable place to relax, and once they'd recover their strength, they'd continue on their way. So when a flock of seagulls approached the island one afternoon, there was nothing strange about it. What was strange, however, was that the gulls flew right past the island without stopping to rest. It wasn't long before a flock of geese flew past the island without stopping. A little later, a flock of terns flew past, and then a flock of vultures flew past. As more flocks flew past, a sense of worry settled over the island creatures, and when a flock of ducks passed overhead, Brightbill and Glimmer took flight to see what was going on. They flew alongside the ducks, asking questions and listening to answers. Then the two geese came gliding back down to the edge of the pond, where a crowd was waiting. Guess that's all the ducks and the geese flying. Glimmer let out a heavy breath and shared the troubling news. "That poor seagull was right," she began. "The poison tide is coming," the duck said. "It will be here tomorrow. Nobody knows what it is. They only know that it's spreading south through the ocean, harming every living thing in its path. The reason why so many birds have been passing us by is that they're fleeing from the poison tide." Animals glared at the robot, and Finn growled. "You said we had nothing to worry about." "It seems I was wrong," said Roz. "I am very sorry. According to the ducks, there is someone who can help," said Brightbill. "They said there's an ancient shark who is wise and powerful. If we can contact her, we might be able to stop the poison tide. The ancient shark lives somewhere in the north, but nobody knows exactly where to find her." Animal voices called out. Who cares about an old shark? How will we survive the poison tide? What are we going to do? This is what we're going to do, said the robot. We're going to help our friends, seabirds, otters, fish, crabs, and all the other coastal creatures and are in grave danger. They must be evacuated at once. Chapter 8, The Evacuation. The flock of geese fanned out across the island and alerted everyone that the poison tide was coming. Otters raced through the waves, telling their neighbors the news. Crabs scuttled down into the depths of the ocean. Fish who'd spent their whole lives in those reefs abandoned their homes and swam out to open water. Many animals came down to the coast to help with evacuation. But as the hours passed, the animals needed to rest. The robot, however, did not. Night fell and the stars came out, and there was Roz, wading through the shallows, her headlights turning from side to side as she warned the coastal creatures to leave. Chapter 9, The Poison Tide. Towering above the island was a tall, rugged mountain. Waterfalls cascaded from its ledges. Clumps of wildflowers rustled in the breeze. In places, the mountainside had crumbled, leaving behind sheer cliffs. A vulture emerged from a hollow in the cliffs. She stretched her wide wings and glided off to search for car cases. Floating on the wind, she rose higher and higher until she spotted something unusual. To the north, it looked like the ocean was gently shimmering in the sunlight, but the sky was full of clouds. That shimmering water could only mean one thing. The poison tide is here, screeched the vulture. Animals began hurrying to the northern slopes to see the poison tide for themselves. Reader, you and I might not have noticed that patch of gently shimmering water, but the animals noticed. After all, animals are incredibly sensitive to their environment. They can sense a storm long before it appears, and the poison tide was like an underwater storm sweeping through the sea. Below the northern slopes, Roz was still hard at work in the shallows. She had spent the whole night out there, trying to help every coastal creature get to safety, but she was running out of time. The robot plucked sea stars and sea urchins and snails from the water and dropped them into rock pools along the shore. That's where I was with, crab and other stuff. And then she waded back into the shallows to search for more. Behind her, the crowd of island animals started shouting, "I can see the poison tide. Yes, there it is. It's gotten so close." The robot's computer brain can contain thousands of different programs, and the most important were her survival instincts. When a wave of poison tide came rolling to shore, her survival instincts blared in her head, urging her to get out of the water. But then she heard something else. Frightened squeaks. In all the confusion, an otter pup had climbed onto a small rock that stood up from the shallows. Now the pup was frozen with fear as the wave of poison tide tumbled toward him. Roz charged over to the young otter as fast as she could go, but beneath the surface the seabed was covered in slick stones, and she kept sliding and stumbling and slipping. Nervous voices hollered down from the hills. The poison tide is right there. Hurry up, Roz. Go, Mama, go. Just before the wave reached the otter, Roz grabbed him, and leaped away with all her strength. They arced up from the shallows over a rocky cove and landed on the shore. The otter pup ran to his parents. Everyone was happy to see the otter family reunited, but their happiness didn't last long, because when the crowd turned back to the ocean, they saw that the poison tide was spreading through the water and slowly surrounded the islands. Alright guys, that is where we will pause. Hope you guys enjoyed. There will be another one from chapters 10 through 20. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's a long video. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.